Oh, I still got nuts in me, man. Yeah, cheers. Here you go.
You got nuts in you?
You want some cashews?
Later.
Yeah, alright, okay, cool.
Cheers.
Well, what
I do
about-
like cashews though.
I love a cashew.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, what's your favourite? Well, let's
Cashews
start there.
everywhere
So,
around
are
me.
they your favourite nut? What's your
No,
favourite?
I'd say probably like smoked almond.
Ooh.
And I don't usually like smoke anything. I don't really like smoked cheese or
Yeah.
whatever that much. But like those almonds,
Yeah.
maybe they're not smoked. They're like roasted.
Yeah.
I like those. And you know macadamias?
Yeah, I love macadamia.
They're like so fatty. They're delicious. But if you eat too many of them,
makes you sick.
it's like it's disgusting.
Yeah, you can start to feel a bit ill. But it's like, yeah, I just love cashews. They're my favourite. It's just always like with a
I always have
salt
cashews in the house as well.
Yeah, that's always great.
And the salted ones, yeah.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
want the salted ones.
I'm just like mixing them up and making them into pesto. And,
Yeah.
I just love doing that.
Oh, what? You chucking the pasta and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to a mate of mine, and he's part Indo like me as well. And in Indonesian cuisine, they got this thing where they got dried what do you call it, like coconut,
Yeah.
and they crush it.
Yeah.
And they mix it with peanuts and they use it as a seasoning on their like hot dishes. And I kind of like grew up with that. But I never liked that. I was talking about that to my mate last night actually. It was like, yeah, that's the one thing from like the Indonesian cuisine which I never liked and I still don't like to this day. Like I love my spicy sauces like sambal. I grew up on that.
Yeah.
I love all the Indonesian cuisine, but that bit like I never fucking
Never got on with it.
Nah.
So where did you grow
Sure.
up? Oh yeah, there you go. Where did you grow up?
Near Melodies, a little backward shithole.
What was that like then? So what's the area made
yeah.
up with? Like, you know, what was it like? What was the demographic? Was it? What was it?
Shitheads. It's just like I think it's like it's a town, but I think it was like 2,000 people living. So the weird thing is, I'm diverting already. Like
No, that's okay.
most of the Netherlands is comprised of what in English you would call towns. Like even our cities, even like the major cities are like barely cities by like most foreign standards.
Yeah.
But in Dutch we don't have a word for the word town.
Right.
It doesn't exist. We only have a word for village and we have a word for city.
Yeah.
Even though most of what we have are towns. So I would, in Dutch I would call it a village for sure. It's because it's tiny. It was like 2,000 people, super white. It's like so my Indo side of the family in that town, I think we were like the only not, so to say, like fully Caucasian.
Right, okay.
White
So is that your dad's
people.
side or your mum's side?
Mum's side.
Your mum's side.
My dad's side's Jewish, my mum's side's part Indonesian.
Right, okay, cool.
And then there was one Hindustani Suriname family. And there was a little later, when I was in primary school, so
Yeah.
I think I was about like 7 or 8 years old. Like a Moroccan family moved in from Rotterdam.
Yeah.
And that was basically, and the rest is just like white,
Yeah.
all of it. Yeah.
So how did you discover jungle then? Where was it? How was it? Because you were a skater, right? Because you were saying...
Yeah, I was already skating. I started skating when I was like 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
Because that was like one of the big skateboarding booms in the late 80s where literally in like everywhere kids that were around like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, they you know that always goes in circles with skateboarding. You got sports like soccer, like football.
Yeah.
They're always popular, but with skateboarding it
Comes
seems
round,
to and then it dies out again.
It's definitely on a skating thing right now. It's definitely...
It definitely is, and it's bigger. It's been bigger and more consistent now because it's like probably because it's like in the Olympics and stuff like that. And the image of skateboarding is not as like punk against the grain anymore as it once was.
Actually, real quick, I showed Z is my partner Charlie, and not the drug Charlie, my partner, my girlfriend Charlie, his son. Shout out Agman. But I showed him a film the other day called Gleaming the Cube. Do you remember Gleaming the Cube with Christian Slater?
Yeah, that's even from slightly before my time.
Yeah.
I'd say like by the time I started skateboarding, that movie was like had been out for not that long, but a couple of years. But there was
Tony Hawk's in it.
Yeah. But by the time I started skating, was like a really weird transitional period where it was the tail end of when vert skating was big, and like Powell, Santa Cruz, Christina Soy, Tony Hawk, like the Burns Brigade. They were like demigods to skateboarding at the time, I would say, but they were all like, it was very vert skateboarding centric, and by the late 80s, early 90s, it started shifting to street skating, and it's still not yet like never reversed back to vert skating being the predominant thing. It's like it's been predominantly street skateboarding for the last 30 years, I'd say. And that was like right around the time when I started skating. So
because I was like, I like Jeff Rowley, and because I had the first Tony Hawk game, and so that's how I got introduced to skaters. Just the names of like the stars of skateboarding. I didn't know that there was actually stars, and you sort of like.
But I'd say like by the time that Tony Hawk, that first Tony Hawk game came out, to me, those names that are in there were already like fairly established names. It's like Jeff Rowley. He skates. I don't know if he still skates. Probably does for Flip. Which is a British company.
Right.
And they started out as Deathbox in the UK.
Right. Okay.
And then they moved their entire operation to America. And didn't take the full team, but most of the team. Of the Deathbox team, and they just changed the name to Flip. And then there's still Deathbox Skateboard still exists, I think, but it's like a really small, like throwback thing now. Not entirely sure. But they were like in Europe. I consider the UK Europe. You know?
Even though I'm now European now. I'm not
but within Europe, Deathbox at the time was one of the brands that we looked up to, but maybe that also has to do that. We in mainland Europe we would buy a lot of the British magazines, like Rad being the most famous one. They changed name to Sidewalk Surfer after a while. Because that was more relatable to us, because like the spots and everything, the street skating spots at least in the UK are a lot more similar to mainland Europe. And in America it was way smoother. And that was like sunny, concrete in California. So and so I guess it was like a lot more accessible to us. But we would also buy the American magazines. So in Thrasher, Transworld Skateboarding, later Big Brother. Big Brother was like my favourite. Slap magazine.
See, I know a little bit about skating. I know a little bit. I had a friend.
So like Deathbox Deathbox was pretty big in mainland Europe.
Right, got it. No, because I had a friend, shout out DJ Lux, Tony Luckhurst, who was sponsored by, I can't remember which. It might have been No Fear or one of those brands. He got sponsored. He was like, mate of
No
mine.
Fear skateboarding.
Nah, I don't. Maybe it wasn't No Fear. That's
when was this? When was this? Like 2000s or 1990s?
Oh no, mid 90s. I can't remember who it was. Tony, maybe you have to reach out to me after this if you see this.
I mean, you can go through names, but that would make sense anyways.
But he was, a big skater, and
because No Fear, like
there's surfing,
I don't know what it was, but we definitely weren't wearing No Fear.
No, they're surfing. I got the wrong name. Don't listen to me. That's what I mean. I don't know that much. Sorry. See, this is what happens when you try and talk too much about subjects you don't know about. You start making mistakes. But was skating your avenue in to sort of like DJing and jungle and the music thing?
Oh no, quite the opposite. The opposite.
So I'm curious to know how that came into your life.
No, I started DJing Gabba.
Oh wow, okay.
Because I started DJing in 1995, and Gabba was like the big thing in the Netherlands. Just like jungle and drum basses in the UK. This was our hardcore, and that was the UK kind of hardcore. Like that was the fast electronic dance music in the UK, and to us it was Gabba. And like if there was two worlds that did not mix at all. They were like literally physically violent towards each other, were skateboarders and gabbers in the Netherlands. Like gabbers would beat up skateboarders and shit like that.
Wait, gabbers would beat skaters up?
Oh hell yeah!
What the hell?
They had this motto in the Dutch. It's "Voel je beter, sloop een skater," and it translates to "Feel better, wreck a skateboarder." But in Dutch it rhymes. No.
Sorry, I don't advocate violence ever, but no. I mean, that's still quite. That's still quite funny.
Yeah,
but like,
but the weird thing is, like, I would go to these huge Gabba raves, and I would dress like a skater.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I didn't have the money for 2 separate outfits, and I wasn't going to wear those kinds of clothes anyway.
Yeah. So they're like wearing a lot of neon and stuff, weren't they? Was it?
They had like at the time, right mid 90s, when Gabba was at its peak, they had like a very, you could almost call it like a strict uniform. They had like a track jacket, but it had to be Australian, the brand. It's an Italian brand.
Yeah.
Usually, sometimes they would wear the entire tracksuit, but usually it would be just the jacket, often with nothing underneath it.
Yeah.
Blue Levi's jeans and Air Max Classics. That's the ones that look like the speedboats. Not like the Air Max 90s or Air Max 1s, but it's like, I think that's like the third,
the classics,
third Air Max, third or fourth.
Yeah.
And they would all wear those, and mostly in the same colorway.
Right.
That white, black, purple colorway.
Yes.
And then a shaved head, and the girls would have like this shaved up and with like only hair here, it tightly into a ponytail. It was like a uniform. It was like a proper uniform. Yeah.
And you just had loads of, just thousands of Dutch people go around dressed like that.
Hell yeah.
Listening to Gabba. Mm-hmm. And you were a Gabba DJ?
Yeah, so for, it's kind of silly. It's like how you were so like easily influenced as a teenager, or at least some people were, and I was as well. Because I started skateboarding way before I got into DJing, or I started skating when I was 11, I think, 10, 11, and I started DJing when I was about 16. And so because those worlds were such like so aggressive towards each other, for a couple of years I was like, nah, Gabba is shit, man, that's not, but that was just like the subculture thing, you know, because like as a skateboarder you were not supposed to like that kind of music. Not even like electronic music in general. Skateboarders, you're allowed to listen to hip hop.
Yeah, and metal.
More punk than that. Yeah. So yeah, for a couple of years I was like, nah, fuck this and blah blah blah. But then actually, like, I noticed that I really, really liked it. Yeah. And we were bombarded with like TV commercials for like these Thunderdome compilation CDs and shit. And I'd always be like, I noticed I actually really liked it. And then the reason why I finally gave in is that I'd say the main reason is that my best mate at the time, he was a skater as well, and we were like for the longest time in secondary school, we were probably the only 2 skaters in the school, and we dressed very differently from the rest of the kids in our school. Right. And him and I had like a really serious falling out, and he ended up going to another school. So then I was like the only skater there, and there was other people that I was hanging around with, like other classmates I was also hanging out with after school, and they were like really into Gabba. Right. And that's when I finally gave in. It's like, I actually really like it. Yeah. And then I quickly started buying records, and then one of them, actually 2 of them, explained to me how to DJ, and that was it. Like,
so who were like the big sort of like Gabba artists for you back then? Is there any names that's Roughneck.
Yeah, at the time when I started DJing.
Is he Dutch? Is he Dutch?
Yeah, he's from Dordrecht.
Right. Okay. Shout out Roughneck.
Yeah, which is Dordrecht is a small city which is right in between Rotterdam and where I live in Breda, and Dordrecht is smack in the middle.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard of Dordrecht. Yeah.
But culturally, it's way closer to Rotterdam.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're above the river.
Yes.
And their accent is very different. It's way more like the Rotterdam accent than the Breda accent.
Right.
So.
I can't tell the difference yet. I'll get to hear it, I'm sure.
I'd say like specific letters is like the way the R and the way the G are pronounced are like the easiest to clock. Yeah. Because we in the south we have a soft G. We say
yeah.
And up here they say
yeah.
So, and then the R is different as well.
I burnt myself live on TV there. Oh,
yeah. Go on. But anyway, so when I started DJing, I would spend all the like what you call like pocket money allowance that I got would all go towards records, and I bought like from when I started DJing the first 1 or 2 years, I think, so 95 to say 97, I bought every single Roughneck release that came out, and I would call up there was this big chain of record shops. Well, not big, it was, and they had 2 shops in Rotterdam, one in Utrecht, I think, one in Amsterdam and one in Dordrecht, and they're called Midtown.
Right.
And I would actually call them up and be like, it has a new Roughneck drop chat, because I had people who knew, friends of mine that kind of like knew Roughneck, DJ Roughneck personally, the guy that ran that label. So
it's just
for some reason I would sometimes know which records will be the next release on the label, and I would call up Midtown like, did you get the new Roughneck in yet? And they'd be like, no mate. And then a little later after that, I got very, very heavily into PCP.
Right.
The label.
Right.
Not the drug.
Right, okay. It's alright, no judgment here.
And all its offshoots.
Yeah. So PCP were a Dutch.
No, they were German.
German Gabba label. Right.
It was like the main label was called PCP, but they have like insane amount of sub labels. And the main guy who started, there was two guys that started PCP. One of them was called Mark Akadipane. His real name is Mark Trautner, I think, or Trauner.
Yeah.
And I counted all his monikers a couple months ago. I actually did a PCP special on the Bellamy show last year.
Yeah, shout out Bellamy, South London, represent.
Beckham. And I think I counted all his monikers, and it was like 90 different names under which he made music, which I'm not too sure if there's too many other producers that pull that off. It's insane. Like and the vast majority of those records that he released, and there's 90 monikers, you know?
Yeah.
And every moniker he has like various like different
and
releases.
all Gabba?
Not all Gabba.
Oh.
They also had like a really cool breakbeat hardcore jungle sub label called White Breaks FFM, White Breaks Frankfurt.
Right.
Which I think they did like maybe 10 releases on that, which I really liked, and I got almost all of them except for I think like the last two. And they did some more like slower stuff, some techno-y stuff. Some of it is like proper doomcore. They did like some trance releases as well. It was a lot of different styles, but mainly hardcore and its offshoots.
Right.
So like I'd say the vast majority of it was hardcore or related to hardcore.
So this was like late 90s,
mid 90s.
Mid 90s. You were playing. You started playing all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so what, for like 5-10 years? What was sort of, when did the change happen?
Fairly early on. One of my mates, shout out Thijs. He was the one who taught me, who actually explained to me like, don't just chuck the needle on, but like put it to the first bar, and then you can count the notes, you can count the bars, scratch it in, and then throw it in. So he explained to me the very basics of DJing. And he noticed very early on with me that I usually rated the tunes, the hardcore tunes that had breakbeats in them.
Yeah.
And initially I wasn't even aware of that. It was just like what I latched onto. I was like, I like this tune. He's like, you like all those breakbeat tunes? Yeah. I was like, yeah, I suppose so. And he said like, you should check out Night Force recordings. They're from England, and like it's all breakbeat. It's all breakbeat hardcore. Because in the UK, that's what you call hardcore.
Hardcore, yeah.
But in the Netherlands, because it was to us it was so breakbeat oriented, we wouldn't just call that hardcore. We would call that breakbeat hardcore, UK hardcore. We had like it was a very distinctly different sound to us. Then I started getting into Night Force, and I started buying all the Night Force releases that I could get my hands on.
So have you got a bit of a completist thing? Do you find yourself...
No.
Right, okay.
I had probably at the time, but it was also... I just legit really liked those releases so much that I would say that with Roughneck I was a bit of a completist for the first few years. But then again, I was rarely disappointed by the releases anyways. And there was, I do remember that there was one record that I never bought, which is Special Series Volume 1 or 2. And for some reason I never liked that record as much as I did the other Roughneck releases, and so I never bought it. So I wasn't that much of a completist. I was just a big fan.
But I mean, it sounds like you got most of them though. Because I mean, I was never, the only label really for me was Good Looking, really. That was the only label that I sort of was
I didn't even know about that until I'd say like 96, 97. And so from the breakbeat hardcore thing, and then I had an older mate who used to be in the same high school with me, but I think he just left high school because he was like secondary school because he was like 4 years older than me. And But he was already DJing. He'd already been DJing for a couple of years, and he had a pretty decent sized record collection, even though he was only like 19 at the time. And he was very knowledgeable, especially considering an age where there was no internet to look everything up, you know. He knew his shit, and he was also already producing with another cat from my hometown. They were releasing records on like fairly decent sized Gabba labels at the time already, when people weren't really doing, or at least not in the Netherlands, like these really small independent labels, you know, not like get an account in the pressing plant and press like 500 white labels, you know, not that kind of stuff. These were like real labels, real record labels, and he was already releasing on that, and he would sometimes go to the UK to buy breakbeat, hardcore and jungle records. He was a little more clued up to that, and he showed me like stuff like Production House, White House, Night Force, Impact, the bigger labels that had a proper distribution, which you could get outside of England. Because a lot of those records you couldn't even get outside of England.
No, you couldn't. No.
So it was only like a handful of labels that had like a proper distribution, which was later on was like No U-Turn and stuff. So he kind of like educated me on it a little bit, and then also there was a radio show on Radio 3, I think it was called. I can't remember the name of the show, but it was these two guys who started Triple Vision. You heard of Triple Vision?
Yeah, of course. I distributed them now.
Right.
I've gone back to them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But back then they didn't even have a physical shop yet.
Right.
They were both originally from Delft, I think. Shout out Dres and Nubian.
Always.
And they were selling records as almost like kind of like a mail order thing. From their flat in Delft.
Wow.
And they had like on the radio, on Dutch National Radio, they did like a special of like 1 or 2 hours, I'm not sure, about jungle music.
Right.
That had just like, in the Netherlands that was still really fresh. Whereas by 1995, 96 in the UK, it was already like a very established thing. And as far as I know, already starting to morph into drum and bass.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
To us, I just found out about it, and remember I was only like 16 at the time. So
how old are you?
44.
44, okay. Right.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
Fairly similar.
Yeah.
I actually turn in 45 in 3 months from now.
48 in January. Getting close to 50, but yeah, whatever. It's like, whatever. If I feel good, it's fine.
I remember when I was getting close to 30. So.
I remember getting close to 20.
It literally feels like just like a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, I remember turning 20 and be like, oh god, my life is over. Like, I remember turning 20 and thinking that it's like, god damn, now I don't really care. It's quite funny how life changes, but it's great. But so you were.
So they had a show on the radio, and they explained all the subgenres, because after a while they started calling it jungle started to be labelled as a subgenre of drum and bass, you know. But at the time it was the other way around, wasn't it? You had this subgenre of jungle that was called drum and bass, and that was the ragga.
So that's how it was represented. So
right, wasn't it?
Well, see, this is a question that I've asked every guest.
Because I can only speak from how we heard about it in the Netherlands.
No, I don't know if there's actually a correct answer anymore. But like, I've asked nearly all my guests this question: if there's a difference between drum and bass and jungle.
To me, there is.
Yeah.
Well, the drum and bass, which is called drum and bass nowadays.
Yeah.
Basically, everything. Basically, to me, like the distinction would be there's very much a grey area around from 95 to 97, 8 maybe. There's a lot of stuff where now in hindsight I would call that a grey area.
Yeah.
Because if I look at Platinum Breaks Volume 2, for example, there's a lot of stuff on there that's really, really choppy. Yeah. But there's also that you can already hear like the beginnings of like the two-step neuro-y kind of things where the beats are stripped down. Yeah. And they were using drum computer sounds instead of sample breaks. So that's like, but I would call the majority of the stuff that is on Platinum Breaks 2, I would still nowadays call that jungle.
So early U-turn, an early no U-turn.
Yeah.
What would you call that?
Me.
Yeah.
Jungle.
Yeah, see, same here.
As long as it's choppy.
Does it have to be choppy to be jungle?
No. To me, I guess like that's what I say. There's a lot of grey area. But
I love it. I love your answer. Yeah, keep going.
But if you look at like, I would say to me personally, the turning point was like Virus Recordings and Decipher, because those labels from release number 1, there was barely any sample breakbeats anymore in that. There's a couple of Decipher recordings like that. There's an early Decipher by Trace.
Yeah,
that's Trace's label, wasn't it?
Decipher, yeah, I believe it was Trace and Fierce. I think it was.
Could be, but I remember there was a Trace release on Decipher that very much sounded, and it probably came out in like '99, maybe 2000, and sounded like '97 Textile.
But I would say
it still had a sampled Amen in it.
Yeah, but hold on. Early Virus, let's have it right. There's a lot of breaks on there. Early Virus, they still breaks. When you really check a lot of those tunes, it might be stripped down, but they were still breaks. They were still used breaks. So it's one of the reasons why I love Rush Octopus. Not chopped breaks. Not like they're doing that Equinox thing. But
which was the
Life Crisis, all of them. The Ghostbuster, all of them. They've all got breaks in them. When you really, I mean, even when you think about the Worm Arm, you think slip through.
What would have, because the only Virus Recordings 12s that I ever bought were Volume 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And they have, like, what to me, those don't sound like breakbeat samples at all anymore.
No.
They sound like drum computers.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because because I worked with Survival for a very long time. He's one half of Scar, and yeah, there are Metalheads and such like, right? Yeah, and I learned from him how. What he would do, he'd always take a break and chop it into little mincemeat and just sort of turn it into a sort of drum kit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
But they would still use elements of like the shuffles and stuff later on, and so you sort of would hear the break.
No. But they would there was always syncopation in there. There was always like shuffles in there.
Yeah.
But it didn't sound like
it. Didn't sound like it. No.
Basically, to me,
I think there was something about the character. Sorry, just real quick. I didn't mean to talk over.
No,
but it's the same with Caliber. Like. He's like someone told me that Caliber uses Amen in every single one of his tunes.
But like little chopped or snippy bits.
Well, it's just always in the background. He just uses the essence of Amen in every single one of his tunes. I don't know if it's true. Please confirm. Tell me, please.
Right. Well, fair enough. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah,
I've never spoken to those dudes, so I have no fucking idea how they actually make that beat.
Yeah,
I can only say, like, you asked me what I would.
Yeah, no.
And I said, like, there's definitely a grey area.
Yeah, let's get back to that.
For the most part, like everything that came out to me from the late 90s, early 2000s, when people started using the term neurofunk, especially, and liquid.
Yeah.
Because I'm still not really clear on this, because in my mind, liquid was always a continuation of what was once called intelligent atmospheric drum and bass.
Me too, yeah.
But is it? Because I don't know. Because I fully dipped out of drum and bass from the early 2000s onwards.
When you listen to someone like Hybrid Minds, which are like that super hyper, commercial pop liquid stuff, right?
I have no idea.
Whether you like that stuff or not, it is so well produced. It's fucking unreal. Hybrid Minds are some of the best producers of drum and bass, like absolutely brilliant, right?
Oh yeah, no.
I mean,
I have nothing about production.
Yeah, right. But
there's so maybe that's actually the thing. What I don't like about it is that it's so well
almost
produced.
too. But the only reason why, in a way, but to me, when I listen to that, for me personally, when I listen to that, there's no difference between hearing that and what PFM was doing. Because at the time, for me, PFM's music was just like the best produced music you're ever gonna. You still listen to Goosebumps.
But like even like 90, 95, 96, 97, Photech.
Yeah, exactly.
I play Nita Nichiryu now.
Yeah, exactly.
I play it with like a brand new. Like even if it's been mastered by Bo and pressed by Simon.
Shout out Bo.
And still Nita Nichiryu sounds more clear and louder than that.
Photech is the one.
And it sounds better produced. But he retained some kind of.
But he's another one that split breaks up and used bits and bobs different breaks.
It still sounded organic, and this is very much my own opinion. This is very much my own opinion.
That's what I want. Yeah.
But it sounds, it speaks to me probably more because it still sounds, basically more human. More organic and not as like machine produced. I don't know, and it's not a one-on-one rule because
totally.
even when. As soon as like the breaks started disappearing, I started losing interest in the music. And as I said, people who ask me like a drum and bass drummer, but I do not consider myself a drum and bass producer or DJ at all. Like not at all. I completely dipped out of drum and bass for the best part of 2 decades. And the only drum and bass I was listening to for during that time, if ever, was drum funk.
Right.
I was only listening to Paradox, Nucleus, Charlie Fracture.
Yeah.
The stuff on Bass Bin, a little, but there was like a little bit. What's up?
No, I'm joking.
I don't get it.
No, because I was thinking you weren't going to mention In Perspective, but no, it's fine. Did you ever check out any early In Perspective stuff?
Not until way later.
Oh, that's fair enough.
I wasn't even I actually got a friend of ours, of me and my mates in Beida. He was a fair couple years older than us, and he died a few years ago.
Yeah.
And he left his entire record collection to a couple of my friends, myself and a couple of my friends.
Yeah.
And then one of my other mates, one of the people that inherited part of his collection, got rid of it last year, I think. Yeah. And he was like, before he sold it off, he was like, come by, and you can pick out anything you want. Yeah. And then I found like a couple of In Perspective records. They had like an old Equinox one. Right. I think one by you yourself. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I had like 3 In Perspective. Oh, okay, cool. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, I recognize this, but I never had any of the In Perspective records at the time. Cool. And I think that's because by the time you started like releasing a lot of music on In Perspective, when you really got going, is when I wasn't listening to drum and bass anymore.
Yeah. So, no, that's fair enough.
And I'm still after I'm really after a copy of Acid Rain.
Yes,
I think that I wasn't trying to.
No. I managed to buy one back from.
But I was listening to
Brixton.
Well, there's a few copies for sale.
Yeah, there's still some
but they're not cheap.
No,
they're not crazy expensive, but they're not cheap.
And I mean, it might. I don't know.
I was listening to that tune a couple months ago, man, and I was like, this is like probably by far the dirtiest, meanest Amen tune. It's a beast, man. That tune, and it just keeps on going. Like, is there even a breakdown in that tune?
No, the first one in the original there isn't. In Equinox, in the Breakage remix there is.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the original.
In the original,
it's disgusting, man. It's like it
just starts and just doesn't stop.
But time stretches.
Yeah, I mean it just starts and never. But the thing is, what's really annoying is I think I've got it back there somewhere in that CD case. I've got to find it. There was there was the final chapter mix, which ended up coming out on Planet Mew, which is on another label, which was like another second sort of more chopped up version.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What? There's a version of Acid Rain that came out on Planet Mew?
Yeah. It's a touchy subject, but it was just one of those things. Mike Parolinas, he put out a remix of a tune on.
Because he put out some other breaker shit as well, Ninth Hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I do have that one.
Yeah, Ninth Hand was due to come out in Perspective. I just took too long. I mean, there's no point, doing this podcast if I'm not going to be truthful about what happened. But I just took too long to put some of the tunes out, and some of the artists at the time just got a bit irritated and impatient.
You mean on In Perspective?
Yeah. So Ninth Hand was supposed to come out in Perspective.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
And with Second Sight, which came out on Saturday.
When was that? Because that was like late 2000.
That would have been like 90. It'd been 99. Yeah, but it's about the time.
I thought it was way later. I thought Ninth Hand came out like 2006 or something.
Oh, it might have done. Yeah, I don't know when it actually came out, but
I'm not sure, but I thought so.
No, I've got. But there's a second remix.
Because I didn't buy that record until like 5 years ago.
Right. Okay.
When I went like properly deep into jungle and started producing it as well, and then I was like going on there.
So you know what? Let's move on from that real quick because I want to get back to how. So you were you're a Gabba DJ. You're playing this stuff. You're playing Roughneck and BCP. You're into all this stuff. You started to play out places, or did you get opportunities right away? So you were on radio, or was it out?
No. Gig. I was at local gigs.
Right. So you get local gigs.
Like right away. Like I think I played my first local gig.
Yeah.
A month after I got my first.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe 2 months. Because like I said, like I had this one older mate who was already releasing records. Yeah. And he was doing nights as well, like local.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people started DJing around that time as well, but there weren't that many promoters, I think. At the time, it was very local. It was like it wasn't any big cities. It was the small towns around where I lived, but you had like little venues everywhere. Yeah. And he was doing nights there, and he was also connected with other people that did nights. Right. And so he booked me right away to play. So I've been playing basically in front of people, to a crowd since day one.
Right.
Pretty much since day one.
So you're getting the local gigs.
Yeah.
Your mate starts noticing you're listening to the Gabba tunes with more breaks in them, and then you've got another friend who's getting records from the UK, he's bringing them back, he's introduced you to like the early.
And we all knew each other.
Right. Okay.
So it's not two separate, completely different separate stories. Like this is all like a group of people very local that knew each other.
Right. Okay. So were you Coco, Bryce?
No.
Then?
No.
What was your DJ name then?
The very first one was DJ Sign, because I was like a proper toy tagging.
Got ya.
Like just with markers.
Yeah.
And it was SCINE.
Right.
And I later, like when I first started releasing records myself, I had like a little label with 10 inches. I only did 3 releases on it, but that label was called Sign. But I changed my DJ name by then to DJ Y, because my real name starts with a Y.
Right.
So no, I wasn't Coco Bryce until 2009.
Right, so that was like I say recent. It's sort of like 10.
Yeah, well, it's recent to us.
Yeah.
But still, the story of Jungle. So those guys from Triple Vision did a radio show.
Yes.
And they gave a number you could call if you wanted more information or to buy some records from.
Yeah.
And I missed that radio show, but a friend of mine who was even younger than me, I think I was 16 at the time, he was like probably 15, he was like 1 year below me. And he was like into jungle as well, but we both didn't know where the hell to get it, and we were clueless about names of artists or anything. So he taped that show, dialed the number, and then they were like, yeah, sure, you can come by. So then after school, we got a train ticket, we got on the train to Delft, Nubian. From Sydney. Yeah. He picked us up from the train station.
Oh,
in his old Golf, Volkswagen Golf. He drove us to the flat, and we went in there, and we were like these two the kids from the small town in Brabant, in a different province, and we were like, to us that was like in the city, and I was like, these guys sitting there in a dark flat, looking like proper rude boys.
Yeah.
There was like 6 dudes in there, and they were all like a bit older than us, and they were like definitely from the city, and we were not. And
it was like you come to town to buy some Coke.
All right, yeah. But we were there to buy records.
Black crap.
What are you looking for? And we had no idea what we were looking for. So he was like, can you advise us? And I went home with Jungle Hits Volume 2 and one of the Production House compilation LPs.
Right.
Because there's, you know the ones with the big PH on it?
Yes, I know.
And they were like black, and the cover was black, and one of them was with yellow print, the other one green, and the other one blue.
Yeah, I remember Production House.
I got the green one.
Right, okay.
Which had the license on there.
Yeah.
You Must Think First.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even sure if the license was on there.
I don't know if the license was on there, because the license came out on Ganja.
No, but there was a lot of stuff on there that wasn't released on Production House. Because You Must Think First came out on Ganja as well. That was DJ Hype.
Well,
And the Rapture remix of Baby D.
What, Let Me Be a Fan?
No.
God.
Bring it down to.
Oh, you're making me.
Casanova.
Is it Casanova?
Yeah, Casanova.
Yeah, okay.
The Rapture remix of Casanova.
Okay.
And I only found that on 12-inch years, like a couple of years ago. And I was obsessed by that tune. But a lot of the music, I was like, the stuff on the Jungle Hits compilation was a lot more accessible. It had like a lot more melody, a lot more vocals in it. There was like a lot of what we would call at the time Raga Jungle. On it.
Like Sweet Love and stuff like that, probably.
Yeah, Sweet Love wasn't on that one.
What was on that one then? Because we had the drum and bass wise compilations. I remember those days.
What was on that? Remarks on Murder.
Right. Okay.
There was a Tom and Jerry tune on that, I think, which I'm not sure if it was Air Freshener or another one.
I know. In the comments when the video goes up, there's going to be people going nuts like, "Oh, how come you don't know?" It's like, old man. Old.
You don't have to know every single track.
I can't do it.
No, and the final play, like.
Oh right, yeah. But the other version,
the stripped down version.
Yeah.
Not the one with the.
Yeah. No, because
that one wasn't on there.
There's about 10 versions of that shit.
Yeah. So, but so that was like a lot more accessible. It was on the Jungle Hits compilation. The Production House compilation was a bit, that was like fucking dark.
Yeah.
The tunes in there were very dark and very, very choppy. Yeah. And so, like, in a sense, less accessible. So, but I was so intrigued by it.
Yeah.
But I'd say You Must Think First, that's the one I really rated. But that Rapture remix of Casanova, man, that's still magic to me, and I don't think I've ever played it out at a gig. But it still gives me the chills when I hear it. I don't know. There's something weird about that tune that makes it very special.
Well, make sure you Google that one, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
So did you just start transitioning into playing jungle then? Or?
For a little bit, but at the same time, the Gabba scene in the Netherlands, after I've been in it for like 2 years, I'd say like around '97, it started to become really, really racist.
Right.
And the uniform with the Australian trackies and everything, and now Nike Air Max started to get replaced more and more by like basically combat gear.
Yeah.
So they wear bomber jackets, which is all cool. I love bomber jackets, but they would put like a Dutch flag on it, and it was like proper white Dutch pride shit. More and more people started wearing combat boots instead of Air Max trainers, and it got to a point where, I mean, it's obviously the shaved heads. It's easy to, with skinheads, the connection in it, and that made its way more and more into the Gabba scene, to the point where I found myself at a venue called Club X, which was a very famous Gabba venue just across the border in Belgium. So it was quite close to where I lived at the time. And I was standing there, and people were doing like Hitler salutes on the dance floor, like en masse, like next to me. And I was like, you know, and I even had like friends of mine who would do that. And I'd be, dude, you know I'm fucking Jewish, and you are part Indonesian as well. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? He's like, yeah, but I don't mean it like that, but like everyone's doing it. And I'm like, yeah, this is exactly how shit like that happens. Everyone's doing it.
It's like,
So it wasn't even so much that animosity between gabbers and skaters that turned me off to it, because else I wouldn't have started. Else I would have never even started playing that, you know. But it's like the music, the scene started to become really fucking weird. And the music, there was a time around the same time when jungle became more and more choppy and the tempo went up, but in jungle it never really went over 170 BPM, I'd say. That's that was like the ceiling of it.
175 maybe, but
but like in general.
In general.
But with Gabba, when jungle started to get more technical, Gabba started to just become faster and faster.
Yes.
To the point where around like 94-ish, 95, so this is just before I started playing, but I was already listening to it. It was just the faster the better.
Yeah.
And it took a little while. Then it dropped down to, I'd say, a medium tempo of like 160 to 190, give or take. And then around 97-ish, the tempo started going down drastically.
Right.
It went like a lot of stuff was, a lot of parties you hear like 140, 150 for a big chunk of the night. Yeah. Which at first I really liked that, but then a lot of the music started to become like really slow and with triplets, with it's almost like marching music. I just really didn't like that. And so the music, I find it less and less interesting, that kind of guy, because I still absolutely love that, what they call early rave now, like 93, 94 to 96, 7 Gabba, with like loads of melodies, and it's a bit more playful. It's like harsh and hard, but it's a bit more playful. It's not as deadly serious as...
So Gabba's not... Yes, that's Gabba, right?
Yeah, well, Gabba is hardcore.
Yeah, hard. Yeah, that's what I mean.
But
what
like,
people call hard now is what I just would call Gabba. But so.
No, because I would tell you like
because
if you get like UK breakbeat hardcore, that's hardcore as well.
Yeah,
but it's not Gabba.
Yeah.
And if you get what we would around the turn of the century, I started going to squat parties a lot.
Right.
I would argue that they would call it acid or techno, but spelled TEKNO instead of CH.
Yeah.
To me, and then you got Frenchcore and shit, and all kinds of other stuff. To me, that's hardcore as well.
Right.
But it ain't Gabba.
Right.
Gabba is more like the kinds of melodies they use, the kind of that bass drum that fills up the entire low end.
Yeah.
To where there is. That's also a distinctive difference between, in my opinion, at least like UK hardcore and mainland European hardcore. In a lot of UK hardcore, the emphasis was not on the kicks, even if it was 4x4.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of bouncy UK hardcore, but there's also a lot of UK hardcore where the kick is just like part of the rhythm, but there's still bass lines in it.
Yeah.
Melodic bass lines.
Yeah.
In Gabba, there's no bass lines.
No.
Because like the whole low end.
It's from the kicks.
It's from the kicks.
Yeah.
Because the kicks are usually like so distorted or so loud that they fill up like from one kick to the next. There's no room in between to play bass lines. It would only interfere with it and sound messy, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that's why you usually don't get two bass players in one band playing over one another. You don't want to fuck around with those bass frequencies, like layering them.
Not
like that at least.
Not at that level, no. Because it's just like Jesus. But like I've been to a few hard nights here, and it's very interesting. The sort of the energy and the vibe is very friendly. I mean, it doesn't.
Have you been to a Prospect night?
Was that in Arnhem?
No, here, Rotterdam. They're labelled. They started out. As a really.
Was that at the Worm? Did they do?
They've done nights at Worm, and they do big ones at the Marsilo, the Prospect XL.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, because I know Credo. Do you know Credo and Dart?
Dart? Yeah,
MC Dart.
Dart MC'd at my event in Amsterdam. I did a night at the Melodies.
Yeah, with flight and all that. Yeah. Shout out to it.
And Dart MC'd that.
Yeah.
He's such a save lad, man.
Yeah,
and OGs, I've been in it from time.
He's a legend, and you got shout.
A friend of mine from Nijmegen, Tommy de Kurt, shout out Tommy.
Yeah.
He released Dart's very first productions.
Yeah. So Dart and I are going to be working. He's coming here, hopefully in a few days. Well, after I get back from Croatia, Noise Test actually.
Are you going to Noise Test?
Yeah, I'm playing Noise Test. So be at Noise Test this weekend, and then
where is Noise Test in Croatia?
Is it
near
Split? No, it's not Tisno. It's near Split. Flip. I can't remember the name. Just check out Noise Test.
Zadar Split.
It's near Split. Mm-hmm. It's near Split. But because I can't remember the name of the place, I'm not going to try and butcher their language and pronounce it.
Yeah.
But it's on noisetest.org. You can see all the information there. But no, he's coming here, and we're going to hopefully start sort of writing some music together, man.
Cool.
So he's a great lad.
You and Dart.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah. No, we've been. But I've got to give a shout out to Sula, Sula's partner, DJ Credo. She's like a vinyl jungle DJ. She's incredible. You have to check her out.
I must have definitely met her. Yeah. I used to be good with names, but like not anymore. And I started basically I started to not try it even anymore.
Okay.
I mean, so if you meet that many people every weekend, it's like impossible to keep track.
I mean, no. When you only meet them briefly, but I do try, like, you know, you learn tricks though, isn't it, to try and trick people's names out.
I would love to agree with you, but I just can't.
No, you don't have to.
I would be full of shit if I said.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. What I'm saying is, what I've learned is that I've learned to like trick people to tell me their name.
Like that. I thought you meant tricks to like.
Remember?
Like
No. So if you've got someone
like
with
give
you,
you the code that you.
Yeah. So if you've got someone with you, you know they don't know, then you do the whole introduction thing trick. You know what I mean? So you got someone with you, maybe a partner, a girlfriend, and you say, "All right, introduce yourself and get their name," and then I'll remember what.
Yeah, you'll end up shooting yourself in the foot with that because then people will clock onto that easily enough. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's backfired a few times, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But so the productions. With you.
So if you get a chance to go to a Prospect night, especially if you go to the big ones, because I released a couple of records with them, and I was aware of them, but I never went to any of the nights until I played them. And I remember when I first went to that big Prospect XL at the Marsilo a couple of years ago, and I was there, and you know, like everything looks quite intimidating.
Yeah.
Like in hardcore, like there's a lot of scary imagery, or like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as you're in there, it's like everyone's so friendly and so there for the music. And I felt like I set this together as well. The guy who started Prospect, Thrasher.
Right.
I said to him afterwards, I felt like when I first went to Thunderdome.
Yeah.
This weird feeling of unity, and the music sounds like everyone wants to slit each other's throat and kill each other with an axe.
Yes, it does.
But like the vibe is so different.
I think that's where the aggression comes out.
Wicked.
It's just maybe
it is, but
it's just frustrated suburban kids just letting it out on a weekend. And I mean, I remember one of the first nights was a tune, rage, fucking rage. It was da 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 da. It's just all these really nice studio kids sort of just bouncing along to this stuff, and it's just like it's a very interesting scene, and like you know. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of
but I mean there was a time when the music was aggressive and the people were aggressive.
Yeah.
Like there's been a couple of very notorious venues.
There was an event I went to in Arnhem where they had hard in one room, and there was a couple of people that were just being a bit weird.
In Arnhem?
Yeah.
And what was there like a drum and bass jungle room in the other?
Yeah, that's what.
What was that called?
I can't remember the name of the night.
When was that?
About 2 months ago. Not slagging them off because it was a really good night.
It wasn't a Cat in the Bag night. It wasn't my mate Sammy, Tommy the Cat who did it.
It might have been. Oh, it might have been. Yeah, it might have been.
Was it like Gabba? Was it Gabba or more like free techno?
No, it was Gabba and hard.
No, that's probably not him then.
Yeah, okay.
No, because I think I would have known if he'd had booked you because I speak to him quite frequently and very long.
Oh, okay, well,
he was on the phone for like
no.
He's like one of my oldest mates.
Yeah, cool. No, that's not him then. But there was a night I played. It was just like a couple of people in the main room who were like wearing masks.
Unless it was him and he's now like, you tit, that wasn't me.
No, but there was like a couple of people in masks that were going around being a bit annoying to people. But the bands come and just calmed it all down. It wasn't really anything like that. But that was the only sort of like little thing I saw in the whole Holland really. I mean, I went to an piano party here in Rotterdam called Now and Wow, a club called
Now and Wow. They're doing that again.
Yeah.
They used to do nights at the Marsilo where Prospect does that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is at piano, so there was like 3,500 people there. It was absolutely brilliant.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Is it that big in the Netherlands as well?
Mate, it's Ram. Mate, the top floor.
Which venue was it?
Now, Wow. There must have been at least 2,000 people.
But the venue's not called Now and Wow, is it?
Yeah, the venue's called Now and Wow.
Wasn't it at the Marsilo then? That one in Rotterdam South, like the huge one.
Well, the one with the lift, you go up, would you go?
I think that's probably. I'm not 100%
sure.
I
thought the venue. No, I swear. Well, maybe. Mark Charlie might have got the name wrong, but no, I don't think so. I think it's called Now and Wow.
Because that used to be the name of a night.
Oh, is it? Oh, wait a second. It might be.
But I'm not sure. I could be confused because I'm not really that clued in.
No, because it might be. No. It's a club. Now and Wow Club. Now and Wow Club, Rotterdam. Yeah, is that
Marshaven? Yeah,
that's
the same venue you're talking about where they do the Prospect nights. And I think the history of that venue because it's a silo. They used to store.
That's why it's so tall.
Grain in there.
Right.
So it's called a grain silo.
Right. Okay.
I think the first people that started using that place as a music venue was actually Now and Wow.
Right.
It used to be more like a club.
Right.
Like.
So Now and Wow was a club, and they've taken it over this space, and now they've called it Now and Wow.
Yeah, but I guess it's just like certain floors of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you went to Now and Piano night?
Yeah, I went to Piano.
I had no idea Now Piano was that big in the Netherlands as well already, man.
No, it's huge, man. In Rotterdam, it's really big. There's a lot of nights here, and it's a very interesting scene. I mean, there's a guy called Don Stone here, who's sort of like a real advocate for it, and he's a bit of a sort of champion for it from South Africa.
Yeah.
And
do you like the music?
I find it really interesting. What it is, this is the thing about Amapiano. I do like the music, right? But what I noticed about it is that it clearly comes from an environment where everyone's playing music on mobile devices. Because there's no kicks, there's no sub bass in it at all, right? And everything is mid to high range frequency. The bass line is...
But like traditional cumbia is as well, and that's not like...
I don't know, but I can only talk about Amapiano because, like I said, my knowledge base about these types of music.
There's like some sub in it, though.
There's
no frequencies in it.
I was at a night, I've been at several nights, and I haven't heard a single note below like 60 dB. Like everything's a down. It sounds like sort of P-funk almost.
But like, I feel like a lot of the modern...
And that's not slagging it off, I love it.
I feel like a lot of the modern Gabba barely has any sub-frequencies in there. Like, even like the kick drums are they're layered nowadays.
Yeah, they're very...
And it's a lot of mid, like...
Yeah. But it's just like, it just cuts right through. So it's like, because it's so intense on, it's so reliant on the kick being heavy, that stuff.
Yeah. I feel with Amapiano, like I really like listening to it, but I can only listen to it in like a mix, a continuous mix. Yeah. Because if you hear the tune separately, it's like they just start.
Yeah.
They just start. There's no build up.
No.
To me at least, but I'm
not. I was joking to say something. A lot of the tunes sounds like the intro to something they should jump in. Because what I'm hearing is that
they sound either like the intro or like the good middle bit, but the whole tune is like in that sense, it's very similar to hip hop.
It's vibes, it's like hip hop.
Hip hop is like it's the thing they got in common. If you listen to the first 10 seconds of a hip hop tune, you know what the other 3 minutes are going to sound like.
Exactly, I know.
And it's the same with Amapiano.
But there's crossovers and there's like variances and people are sort of doing Afrobeat Amapiano fusions and I think it's going to start.
Isn't the internet beautiful?
So absolutely, but I think there's going to be I think there's going to be an evolution for that scene, and I'll be really interested to watch what happens with it.
Yeah, because I can't even remember the first time I heard about Amapiano, and I'm not that clued into.
First time I heard about it was last year, literally.
Yeah,
I didn't even hear about it when I got here. But
no, I think that the first time anyone mentioned it to me, I was like, "What do you mean? I'm a piano?"
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
Is that like a band? It's like one of those silly questions, and I was like, no, it's a musical genre. It's like,
yeah, really? Why is it called piano?
Why is it called I'm a piano?
Yeah, I never understood why it was called that. But
I'd say it was like 3 years ago, maybe. I think it was probably during lockdown.
Yeah.
When someone told me about it. What's that? So I look and it just blew the hell up, man. Do you see those boiler rooms? The boiler room, piano boiler rooms in London. And I was like,
massive.
That's massive.
And there's Amapiano NL that does a lot of sort of like shows here as well. It's getting pretty good, man. The African community support it. That's the thing. That's what it is.
I like the vibe of the music a lot, man, and it's almost like sultry sounding.
Very sultry.
I find it very like, I don't know, like smooth, sexy sounding.
It is very smooth. Yeah, that's true.
But
a lot of female DJs,
but not corny.
No, not John.
It's there's some kind of a melancholy to a lot of it, which
that's very true. That's very true.
But you see that in a lot of trap nowadays as well, and in general in a lot of dance music. I don't know who's to blame for that, or like blame in a good way.
Well, I think the trap,
it's
like
the
moody trap thing, like the sort of Lil Wayne guy.
No, after Lil Wayne, but basically like the sad boy shit. It's like, I wonder if it's like due to burial and something.
No, I think it's drugs. I think it's syrup. I think it's codeine. All them kids are fucking drinking out there and just making them all moody fuckers.
Yeah,
that's a theory. It's just a theory. Because the pharmaceuticals are a big problem. Opiates are a big problem in America.
Yeah, but I think like the lean side of
lean
hip hop started in Houston, didn't it?
I'm not really au fait with the whole
DJ's
culture.
Crew, stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
That shit sounds very chilled out and trippy, but not as much as like that melancholic sad boy shit.
Right,
not really in there that much, and yeah.
I love old sweatshirt and what, like, you know, there's a lot of sort of like West Coast experimental rappers at the moment. Mike the rapper, and you know, Chester Watson, and you know, and I like with Griselda stuff, and there's a lot of the offshoot people from Griselda. You know, there's some really, really interesting, and basically I love anything that Alchemist does, to be honest. Like, I just love all that no beat kind of abstract sort of hip hop sound, you know what I mean? And but I think a lot of that has come from this sort of languid West Coast energy, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not people are trying to put prose to sort of like musical textures now rather than like the boom bap era, you know what I mean? I think there's definitely something really interesting in hip hop at the moment for me.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's a West Coast thing.
Yeah, no, I think it is a West Coast thing.
Because when you say like the Odd Future guys, like Old Sweatshirt and Tyler,
Credo,
that's like, I wouldn't liken them to that whole lean, sad boyish kind of sound at all.
No,
because they were more almost like the punk anti everything kids.
No, but I think you need to listen to some of the later L Sweatshirt, because I wouldn't say in terms of the sound texture they're the same, but I think there's a commonality in terms of what he's talking about, the subject matter, and I think it's interesting. It's just an observation. I mean, like I say, I won't be able to write a thesis on it, but there's certain rappers. There's a guy called Mike, Mike. I believe he's originally from like Camberwell, from South East London, and then moved to America.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
And he does these just incredible albums of just like weird left field sort of.
Yeah, I've heard of him, but I never checked any of the stuff out.
It's like, so weird.
I'm very much not clued into that. But one of my best mates, Motem, shout out Motem, Greg. He lives near Toronto in Hamilton in Canada, and he's like big on into that stuff. So, and he kind of knows. He loves the whole, like, I wouldn't say like that he loves every artist, but he probably knows everything that goes on and is really into it. But he also knows that I don't like the vast majority of it, but we've known each other for so long that he can kind of scope out what if he hears a certain tune or a certain artist, he'll be like, I think you like this.
Yeah,
then he'll tip me it, and 9 out of 10 times he's right.
Yeah.
So
it's always nice to have people like that.
Yeah. So I usually just find, when it comes to trap and everything like that, I listen to loads and I listen to it a lot. I spend a lot of the time when I actually do listen to music, which I don't even do that often, but when I'm just listening to music, you know. I have spent a lot of time listening to trap, but it's just a very limited couple of artists that I listen to like all the time on TV. So a couple of years ago it was Playboy Cardi, who now is like considered like a huge pop star, and more recently Yeet, who's also like very much not underground anymore. Like I think he did like a tune for the Minions game or something like that. You know, like that's proper big, and but I love that because his beats and the way he raps to those beats, and like he does a lot of we call it like vocoder.
The vocoder is auto-tune.
Auto-tune, which a lot of people hate, but I love it you know, when it's done right. Or done right, done in a way that I appreciate it. I actually really love it. I think it adds, it can really add something to it. But those beats are just so trippy, man. A lot of it, it's maybe it's because it's maybe you can describe it as druggy. Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. I just love it. It just sucks me in.
It's whatever attracts you to it. But so I see you got the Future Retro hat on.
Obviously.
So how did that relationship start? Just changing subject now.
I guess like just both being aware of each other, because I would say probably 5 years ago, something like that, there weren't that many new jungle producers that were releasing that much music as Tim and I were. Kid Lip, obviously, Sully, but Sully wasn't and still doesn't release that much as we do. So I don't know, just start, I don't even know how we met for the first time anymore. I think the first time I met him was at Rupture, actually, which was not the first time I met you. No. It was the Rupture before that, because the first time I met you was the second time I played Rupture, and I played it after you. And you got kind of annoyed at me.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that deep at all. But
no, because I think you
were DJing and I came up, and so the first time I played Rupture.
This is great. Go.
The first time I played Rupture was a year prior to that. And that's where I met Tim for the first time as well, and that's where I met Nick FX. It was the first time I met Mantra and Dubs in real life. It was the first time I met Simon and Louise, my dear friends from Distant Planet, in real life. I met so many people for the first time there, and I showed up there, and I was still DJing with CDs at the time, mostly. And Rupture was the first time I was like, okay, I'm gonna DJ off a USB now, and I only have one USB on me, and I plugged it in, and the decks weren't linked. I was like, oh fuck, I only have one USB on me. But luckily enough, because I was still in that transitional phase of like playing with CDs as well, I also had a CD wallet on me. So then the year after that, when I played that, where you played before me, I came in, and the first thing I wanted to do was check if the CDJs were linked. And you were DJing, and we didn't know each other, so I'm not even sure if I said hi to you or anything.
No, I don't think you did.
I was like, hey mate, like I'm playing after you, and you're like, aye, and I was like, is it okay if I plug this in? And I already like plugged that USB in, and you were like, no man, wait, I'm DJing still. Like, yeah, but I just want to check, and you were like, no, it's alright.
Because it was about like, I think it was like 20 minutes to the end of my set, I think. That's probably why I was
no, I think you still had like a full hour to go.
Oh, right, okay. It was at the beginning.
You were playing a fairly long set. You were playing either an hour and a half or 2 hours there.
No, I won't play 2 hours. I might play an hour 15 or something, I think it was. But,
because that was...
That's
when I had 3 rooms. They had like room 1, and in room 2 was an Astrophonica takeover. And that was also the first time, that was the second time I played Rupture. That was also the first time I met Fracture and More Sands. And Sully played there as well, but I'd already met Sully at a gig before, I think. Or at least I was already talking to Sully online for a couple of years by that time. And then they did the Colombian as room 3.
Right,
And that's where we played.
Is that where we played?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I believe so, at least, because that's the only rock shop I've been to where they had 3 rooms. And the Colombian doesn't even exist anymore, I don't think.
No, I don't believe so. But I don't know. It's not my city anymore. I just don't know. I'm
that bridge.
Yeah, I'm a Rotterdam resident now. So you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm looking forwards, not backwards. Go find.
Spreek je al een beetje Rotterdam?
Beetje Rotterdam, beetje Netherlands. But yeah, I'm learning Dutch. I'm trying my best to learn Dutch, by the way. But I'm not that great yet, so we'll see. But so yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a stroppy cunt at times. I do apologise. Like, if
no. But, there's no need to apologise. I find that fucking annoying as well. It's like if people just barge in and do that. It's like,
you're probably just nervous or whatever. You know what I mean? Just wanted to not nervous, or just wanted to make sure things were.
Yeah. I was just like, I learned from my mistake. But like, and then I learned from that mistake as well. No, man, these are people that play with Serato. You don't see it that much anymore nowadays, but like 10 years ago, it was a fucking plague. And now you come up, like, can I set up? I was like, yeah, well, obviously you can set up, but they basically were ruining the last 10 minutes of your set.
I remember when Seba used to do that shit, and I remember, I love you, Seb, I'm not slagging you off here, but obviously you remember these days. But like, he used to do that, he used to play with Serato, he used to come in and he'd be like, you used to see him like 20 minutes, but then it gets to the point where you're like, look, mate, can you just turn up before the gig and we'll set it all up so that everyone can play for your thing and then you can play it.
Yeah, but you can't really do that. There's 3 different people playing with 3 different laptops and one plays a tractor and the other is Serato.
Yeah, I mean, those days when it was all getting a bit squirrely and different people were trying to work out different things with Serato and different
I guess it
was a bit annoying, I must admit.
Yeah, I guess in Europe we've been fairly lucky with that as well, with like most people. I'd say the majority of people that switch to digital DJing after being vinyl DJs switch to CDJs right away.
Yeah.
In America, it was a different story.
Yeah.
In Europe, CDJs have been like the default thing in venues for ages. In America, from what I heard at least, it was a way longer period where people who DJ digital were playing Serato.
Yeah, a lot of people use Serato.
That was like the go-to thing. From what I heard at least.
Well, no, I played in the States quite a lot, and a lot of people do use Serato in the States, but I went over with one of the first time I went over with records. There's a lot of places that still very much are vinyl.
Yeah,
which might be why Serato is so.
I've always wondered why that is, and like the only theory that I can think of myself is that like
what is sorry?
That Serato was so much bigger in America, or like control vinyls, because you also had tractor, but like every kind of that kind of stuff. But it was so much more popular in America than it ever was in Europe, like in the club circuit at least. And I thought that maybe it's because in America, like I'm not sure, but could be that like hip hop was more dominant even in clubs than it is here. Because the electronic music scene as we know it, like up until the dubstep era when EDM became really big in America, it was still probably way more like hip hop oriented, like going out clubbing nights than house and techno.
Yeah.
You know?
So people used to see turntablism.
I think, but I have no idea. Like I've never checked.
But that whole system, it was scratch DJs that were using it first, wasn't it? It's right, scratch it was called, wasn't it? It was all about that scratch culture. So you're probably on the money.
Yeah, because they had collabs with Rain. And Rain were making like the turntablism DJ mixes and shit in it. Like I mean in the beginning it was more Vestax.
Yeah, Vestax did a little scratch. Did a lot of scratch.
Oh man, those
mixes as well. It's gorgeous.
Those really narrow.
Yeah, ones. Really thin ones. Yeah.
They fucked me up like at quite a few gigs because they didn't have mid. They only had high. They had gain, high, and bass, and then a panning, which a lot of European mixers, the mixers that we use in Europe, did not have a panning per channel, and so like when the mixers are so ingrained that you're used to using, but there's like high, mid, low, you think that the bottom is the bass. Yeah. So I ended up at so many gigs, like thinking I was turning out the bass, but I was actually panning everything to the left, to the left, you know, shit like that.
You always got to look out for that shit with random. Yeah. So I remember I played a gig and I had a rotary.
A rotary? I've never played a rotary mixer.
You never played a rotary mixer?
No.
No, I played jungle set on a rotary mixer once. It was lovely.
Was it?
Yeah, because it's just sort of like you just were blending. I just blended things, you know, hit sharp or anything.
You can't do the.
No, I mean you can try, but it's a bit. You know, it's all about that sort of slow thing.
Yeah.
So you concentrate a bit more on making sure things were tight, especially if it was a vinyl set. I mean, obviously you always concentrate on things being tight anyway, but it was sort of more of a blend thing kind of thing. It was very nice. It was nice to do. It was like I was playing with that sort of like intelligent, good-looking stuff as well.
Oh, is it? But recently?
No, this was like 15 years ago, man.
On a rotary mixer?
Yeah.
So you were playing on a rotary mixer before it became fancy?
No, I went somewhere, it was a squat party, and they had a rotary mixer.
At a squat party?
Yeah. Because obviously it wasn't, rotary mixers was...
Because right, but like nowadays it's like this fucking pretentious disco.
Yeah.
Oh, I played disco and it's some house music.
But that's what a particular group of people have jumped onto, that's the thing.
They do look absolutely gorgeous,
yeah,
especially the ones with the wooden panels around.
Yeah. The wood, I can't remember the name of the brands.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a few, like a lot of the record stores in Japan have them in the, you know,
it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, like Phonica, I think in London as well. I think they got a rotary.
Do they?
In there. Yeah, I think they got one in there, behind the counter, obviously, because they're worth like fucking thousands. Some of them.
Yeah.
And it's like,
is it like, do they have like the tube amps in it or what?
You know what? Again, I'm not technically enough to know. But I mean, if there's anyone that has that information, please sort of put something in the comments because what's his name?
Have you got any more, AJ?
I have, absolutely, yeah, just behind you in the fridge.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. So,
go on.
What's the future for you? What's in the plans for you? Because I know you're putting out a lot of your music, your own. You got your label. What's it called?
I've got 6 labels actually.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't know that.
The main one's called Mior. I just gave you the
yeah. Got it.
MYOR, and then when I started. No, it's just a big blur.
We got next time. Anyway, go on.
And then in 2015, when I started doing, like, producing a lot of jungle and breakbeat hardcore, I felt like I wanted a sub-label specifically for that, so I did Meal Massive, which was actually a joke that a friend of mine came up with, Vincent Koolman, REX Drug Culture, shout out, he helped me out loads in the early 2010s. And he was curating a festival in Tilburg.
Yeah.
And he asked me if I wanted to do a night there, and it ended up not happening because the council pulled all the funding for the festival for that year. So it was a brilliant, super underground, super well curated festival, but there was. Anyways, I was supposed to do a night there, and he was joking that I was switching into jungle. He's like, "Why are you not doing all the hip hop shit anymore?" And then he joked like, "Yeah, the Meor Massive." I was like, that has a ring to it. So I used that joke he made to name the jungle sub label. Then I think 1 or 2 years after that, I started another sub label called Diamond Life after Sade, obviously, the album, which was, I guess, my initial intentions were to make that more about like the intelligent, atmospheric sounding jungle stuff. So then I got 3 labels. Then I wanted to do like more Gabba and then like hardcore and techno and acid again. So I started Faces of Bass for that, which is. It's all 4x4 hardcore, but like in the broadest possible term. So some of it's Gabba, some of it's jungle techno, some of it's more like ravey, whatever. I did a couple acid things on it, which more like techno-ish acid kind of stuff. And then I started doing those bootlegs on Ill Behavior, the coloured 10-inch label. Right. Which is basically, that was a tryout for Triple Vision. Right. Because at the time, I still had a different distributor, Rubber Dub, in Scotland, and it was always like really good for me to have a distributor in the UK, so I could just send my records there and they sorted. Like they obviously had connections in the UK because they're from the UK, and but then Brexit happened, and basically Marco,
shout out Marco,
Drez from Triple Vision, he just cold called me because. He had no idea that there was this whole jungle revival had been going on for quite a while already, and when he did find out, he was quite surprised that a couple of the people doing it, mainly FFF, one of my best mates, shout out Tommy, him and me, we were both releasing a lot of jungle already at the time, and when he found out, he was like, whoa, there's this whole jungle thing going on, and a couple of these cats are doing it. They're actually from the Netherlands. So he got a hold of my number and called me and asked me if I wanted to come take my whole distribution to him. And I was like, I would feel like I'm backstabbing Robert up there.
Right.
You know? Like I have no reason to change distro, and I've been working with them for more than a decade.
Yeah.
So I would feel like a bit of a shitbag just leaving them. But then I said I knew Brexit was coming up. So I was like, if Brexit really has like all these import-export fees, like all that shit, then it doesn't pay for me to be with a UK distributor, because I'd end up having to do all that extra paperwork and shit. Yeah. So like, but then we were on the phone for quite a while, Marco and me, that very first phone call, and I don't know, I think he asked me like, are you up for releasing something on one of the labels that Triple Vision is already doing? I was like, well, no, not really, because I was like already trying to work with less different labels. Like I basically turned down most of the requests that people asked me if I wanted to release on their label. I was like, no, I'm already like too all over the gaff. I can't even keep track of everything anymore. I just want to focus on a handful of labels that I've been working with and do that. So then I mentioned like, it's like, I don't have like really any tunes to give you, but the only thing I do have that has not been released is like these very blatant bootlegs that I did, but I'm too scared to release them because I don't get pinched for copyright infringement and everything. And he immediately said, "Oh, I don't care. I'll release them."
Yeah.
And I said, "All right, are you sure?" I said, "Like, I'm cool with that, but on the one premise that if we get caught for copyright infringement or whatever, and we get cease and desist or we have to pay fines, those are on you." And he said, "Yeah, sure." So that's how Ill Behavior was born, and that's why there's no info on those records. Yeah, it's for this reason. And by the way, I didn't make all the tunes. No. For some reason, a lot of people seem to think that I actually made all the tunes that we released on Ill Behavior. I didn't. Not all of them.
Here first.
Most of them I did, but not all of them. So.
Well, I mean, there's. I mean, we could talk offline about how Marco's probably going to get around that. Because there's ways, and you know, it's like those bigger sort of independents and stuff sort of know how, if they do put out something, they can put it out as a cover, or they can just pay the publishing. Just there's usually ways out of this, but some artists that that don't like it then put a cease and desist in. It's like, well, it's too late, it's already sold. So it's like, so it's like it's interesting.
But you mean like when you do bootlegs or the copyright infringement, or you use like certain samples that you can't do? Well, I've been pinched with a sample once.
Well, it's like the Ready or Not, the Fugees thing. It's like whoever did that remix, no one knows obviously. But
wasn't that Marco?
I don't know. Oh no, I couldn't say. I don't know who's behind it, but
yes, you fucking do.
What I did hear is that it sold a good number of copies, shall we say, and then Universal found out about it, and then what they did, they pressed up more bootlegs. But they did it because they recognised that selling it as a bootleg made it more attractive to people, so they just pressed up more. So
either that, or sometimes they find out and do it and they re-release it as an official remix.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what.
But that's what I mean. They did that eventually, but what I'm saying is they pressed up more things that look like bootlegs. You know what I mean? But again, what I was told by an employee at Universal, I can't say or deny or whatever, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But he's actually, I know, I can remember his name right in my head, but I'm not going to say his name because I might get him in trouble. But yeah, he told me what they did about it.
But I mean, there's theories about all those major labels at a certain point in time when basically, I'd say like mid 90s when everyone had switched to CD, but like all the DJ 12 inches, that was the only stuff that was released on vinyl. Yeah. But a lot of it was only released on vinyl. Yeah. And there's a lot of major label releases with like pop hits, and they had an acapella on there. Like, why the hell would they put like the acapella on there? Yeah, no, I agree. It was basically an invitation for people to do like remix it or use it as acapellas. And if something bubbled up, they were trying to license it. Or slap you with a cease and desist or whatever. But
I agree with you. I don't think it's
like
likely.
Why else in the fucking world
would you put an acapella?
Just the vocals on it,
I agree. So I think the people that did do that, I think it's probably fair game. I mean, there's a rapper Flowdan. He's quite well known for doing that. He brings out a tune, he puts his acapellas up, on YouTube, and you know other producers have a go and put out things with his tunes, and so he gets more and more play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People can say they've done a tune with Flow there.
Yeah, I mean, I get it to a certain point, but the whole copyright thing, and that people get so fucking precious about their tunes and shit. And I did it last year or early this year. I rendered the stems to a whole lot of my tunes and just put them up in Bandcamp and play it down. And it's like, well, I got this shit from somewhere myself as well. Like, why would I not want to share it? Yeah. And it's different when a tune's not out yet and someone makes a tune that and you want to put it out first, obviously because you made it. And then that's like proper like poaching. But I don't know. People are so precious about everything.
I mean, I guess it depends on the artist. I mean, I suppose if you're someone that's like written, you're a guitarist or someone and you've written like a track that's about the death of your mother or something, and then someone goes and rips your tune and puts it in a jungle tune, you might not be that happy about. You know what I mean? But I don't know because I've never had. I mean, that's never happened to me. No one's ever like.
Yeah. No, true.
So I can't say, in all honesty. Yeah, I get it, but
I hear you, but I mean, this is on a different level. People like getting their music criticised and like, getting all hung up about it. If you really don't want that, keep the fucking music to yourself. Don't release it. Just don't release it then, because as soon as you release it, it's out in the open, and you can't. Then you lose all control of it, and you can be like all fucking spastic about it, like, no, it's mine.
Yeah, you can.
But it's that. If you don't want people to criticise your music, if you don't want people to steal your music, don't release it.
Yeah.
Right? Because once it's out in the open, it's out in the open.
No, I agree.
People have paid to get that music, and it's. I mean, it's easy for me to say this because if I wouldn't say this, I would be a total hypocrite because the vast majority of all my tunes have loads of samples in it.
Yeah.
But I've had people using my beats without my permission and using them to rap on and put them on a mixtape or even put them on SoundCloud or put them on do music videos with it, and I love it. But they never asked me for my permission. But I think that's cool. I think to me that's a compliment. I did a record on the first EP I did for Credo a couple of years ago. I think that came out just during lockdown. There was a tune on there where I sampled and cut up a reggae tune, and that was like the intro to one of the tracks. And literally a month after that came out, there was some, I don't know who, but there was a couple of cats who did like a free Bandcamp download release, and they did a Duke version of that, of my tune. It was basically my tune in the Duke version. And I know like there's a lot of people that would probably get hung up about that, but I'd be like, I'd see that as a compliment, man.
No, that's fair enough.
So that's cool.
That's cool. Absolutely. I can think of many people that would heartily disagree with you, but
like especially if you're like in jungle or breakbeat hardcore. Yeah. If you feel like that is not done, then what the fuck are you even talking about? Because without that, there would not even be any jungle.
I agree. But I think there's some
even the most stripped down shit.
I get it.
Even if it's only like drum and bass, like breakbeats and bass lines.
I get it. It's still samples, but I get it. But I think there's some that would say, and some that would feel that, for example, an Eamon that Dillinger makes, for example, is very unique to him. It was something that he processed and worked on for years. It's part of his signature. It's part of who he is. And for a very long time, it was a big part of his sound. Yeah. So for people to just rip the Eamon from his tune and put it in their tune,
especially,
for example, it's just what I'm saying. I can see why. I can see both sides. I understand from your perspective. If you sample a tune, you sample something else. You sample a break out of another tune. What fucking difference does it make? But then I know that with the producers that I came up with, a lot of them work their shit. They didn't just take a break and just do one thing with it. They worked their stuff to death until it became part of them. The Dom and Rolands and the Equinoxes of this world. Their Eamons are part of their persona, and so if someone steals an Equinox Eamon, you're going to know about it because it's so unique to Marlon, and I think that's why. For some people, I think it'd be problematic.
Right, but in that sense, like there's a difference between getting that breakbeat from that Eamon from Jano You Big and using those 16 bars and just plonking them in there.
I get it.
Versus chopping it up again and making your own thing with it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And the other side of it is to me, and you also get this like with train spotting certain tunes off of other people. There's people that will literally ask for a playlist, buy every single tune from a really good mix someone else did, that they put a lot of effort into like collecting these tunes and making a mix that works together, and they just basically copy it. Yeah. Or they maybe not like an entire mix, but they will like constantly, habitually just take tracks from playlists of other people that they know. There's something to say for that. Like, if you want to make your career off of doing that, fair fucks to you, man. I wouldn't do that because. No. But I like digging for tunes too much there, and I do train spot a lot of tracks off of other people as well. But if people would do that to me, I'd be like, cool, go on. That only keeps me on my toes. So go looking out for more. And the same as with like when people try and bite someone else's production style. It's kind of whack, but that's on them.
I agree.
People will clock that you are just like leeching off of them. And to the producers who have worked for years to get their aim in, it should only keep them on their toes to like keep being creative and keep coming up with new ideas.
I mean, I don't know what someone, for example, what Marlon would think of it. I've never asked him, but now at this stage of his career, I don't think I agree with you. I don't think he'd really even give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Because he's doing so much. He's so gifted. So I guess it just depends on the artist and their personality. But I really like your attitude. I think it is very intrinsic to the early days of jungle.
I saw you know when the jungle started blowing up back again is when I started releasing. It coincided with when I started getting really heavily back into it. And I would say like the one year would be 2015. That's when on Facebook, like Long Live Beautifully Crafted Jungle, that group, it just blew up within a year from like 1,000 members to 10,000 members, something like that. And I was like, it was still very underground. It still is, but and I was like, all these. I mean, Facebook is the discussion cesspit. You know, like it's a headache-inducing.
I don't fuck with that.
But I used to kind of like try and partake in those discussions as well, which is like one of the reasons why I deleted all my social media, is because I was got so consumed by it. You know, I just can't keep my mouth shut.
No,
it's like, it's annoying, and it's worked for me and it's worked against me. But like with that, and there was like one discussion that I saw keep coming back every now and then was sampling within your own genre. Like that's not done. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean that's not done? Because if you look like breakbeat hardcore in 1993, a record comes out. There's an interview with D-Bridge where he says that, where it's like, it's kind of like frowned upon nowadays, but back in the days, and I experienced this firsthand myself back in that time. Not in 93 because I wasn't DJing back then, but later. People would nick shit from within their own genre literally the day the record came out. I don't see what's wrong with it. Like, at a certain point, if you only draw inspiration from within that same genre, that genre is going to become still. You need input from other genres and from other sources to kekeep things fresh. Else you're just like regurgitating yourself, and that's where you get
almost incestuous.
And then you get like 2005 drum and bass. Because they were only drawing inspiration for the most part, a lot of it from drum and bass, and that elitist attitude. But so on the one hand, you don't want to constantly and only do that, but doing it if you just nick a breakbeat from that someone might have worked on for half a year programming and polishing and whatever, I can see that, but at the same time I'm like, who fucking cares? As long as you do something different with it and make it your own. And I think a good example of someone who has frequently used rather obvious sample sources is Deadman's Chest.
Right, okay.
But I'm an absolute fanboy of Deadman's Chest. It's been very rare within the last, I'd say 5-6 years that I have actually been kind of jealous of someone else's productions, where I'm like, I can hear all the ingredients. I can hear exactly what he does. I can analyze it on a rational level, but how the fuck does he make it sound like he does?
And it's funny, I've spoken about him on this podcast before.
But
he's good at everything.
I know a lot of people, not a lot, I know like there's people that feel like, his sample sources are too obvious, because he will sometimes lift like 8 entire bars from a very, very famous 92 hardcore. But the way he uses it, I feel like it's brilliant. Because he never makes it the focal point, the focus of his tunes. He'll have a whole tune, and then suddenly throw in 8 bars of like some LFO tune or whatever, and then switch it back to something else. It's just like this It's almost like more like and to me, and I think to him as well, the way he makes it is almost more like an ode to those classics than it is blatant sampling.
Yeah, I mean, it could well be, but
it's not lazy sampling to me.
Yeah, but you know, I've got a theory, or I say I've got a theory. I've discussed the theory with different people in the past about like new school, what I describe as the difference between new school sensibility and old school sensibility. And you've got new school artists who can be either of those, and you've got old school artists that can be either of those. You can have an old school artist that has the sensibility of a new school man, or a sensibility of old school. Old school sensibility, to me, is always striving to sound as different to everyone else as possible. New school sensibility, to me, is someone that is trying to emulate the biggest and best artists. And I think that, I don't think Dead Man's Chest does actually either of those really. I think if anything, he probably tries very hard to sound like his own self. But I think that for people who grew up in a certain era and their descendants, so to speak, I think there's always going to be a strive for sounding as different and getting your samples from as unique a place as possible. In the same way that, like, you know, you compare drum and bass early days to hip hop in some ways, or amapiano to hip hop, in terms of it being a vibe. But you know, someone like Alchemist, the reason why he's such a popular producer is because he gets his samples from very unique places. You know, he samples a lot of Jewish rock and you know Israeli music and stuff, for example, and brings that into a new era. And I think that, and you know, like, you know, Madeline, same thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's always going to be something that, you know, certainly myself, I'm never going to be entertained by someone sampling off someone else in the scene, if it's really obvious at least. And B, that, you know, there's a level of ingenuity and artistry in what someone's tried to create. When I listen to Headwinds, like, you know, Headwinds is the old great album on In Perspective Records, sorry. I'll send you a link to it. And
but you are talking about like trying to sound like a producer that someone might admire and trying to copy his sound. That's not the same as directly sampling it and using it in a different way. I would even argue it's like almost the opposite.
I mean, I'm not really arguing. I just feel like I think it's just different sensibilities right now, and I think that there's I suppose an older me would have said certain things were wrong. But and me at this stage of my life, I don't really think anything's wrong anymore. Do you know what I mean? I don't really get upset by what people do because I accept that, like what you say. Yeah, but what can you do about it?
I got the first reaction, gut feeling about it from certain people were like, "What, really?"
Yeah.
But
but
I think the way you're explaining it is something completely different from actually what we were talking about, like blatantly sampling something.
I feel like it's sort of within a field of play.
If you look at like Slam and Vinyl release, Red Alert, and there's Ganjaman tune that starts with a breakbeat, which is sampled from, what is it? There's a jungle tune that came out right before Ganjaman, and you can hear that it's sampled from that tune, directly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah.
I don't think Red Alert and Slammer were trying to sound like the producer where they nicked
No. And I think ultimately it's all objective. So, you know, we're both either wrong or we're both all right. You know what I mean? It's like there's not really. I don't know if there's.
No. It's not, because it's all like due to opinions. Like,
yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So
no. I'm not going to hold it against anyone.
Yeah.
But my personal opinion is like, who fucking cares?
And ultimately, that's what I'm essentially agreeing with, because ultimately, at the stage that I'm at now, is like, really, does it really matter? You know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't know if I really care anymore. I know what I want to be about.
And if you predominantly work within a specific genre, you are never going to be 100% original anyways. Never. Because there's always like certain... if you're a drum and bass producer, however original you might be and however unique your sound is, like as soon as you make drum and bass at 190 BPM, most people are going to be like, that's not drum and bass anymore.
I agree,
because it's a 190 BPM.
Some people don't consider halftime to be drum and bass.
You know. Maybe that's a weird thing to say to me, but I don't know, like there is always artists that are really 100% on their own tip and 100% original, and they're usually too fucking weird for anyone to bother listening to it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I've signed most of them. Yeah.
No, you haven't, because that's still like drum and bass. They were still doing drum and bass. I'm not talking within drum and bass. I'm talking within like shit that's not a genre at all.
Yeah.
I think, but maybe one of very few people that I would credit with doing so that is a very big name would be FX Twin.
Yeah,
because at the time when he was doing that, there was, as far as I know, I was only like 11, 12 years old when he dropped his first releases, maybe 13. There was like a lot of the stuff he did like tied into the breakbeat, hardcore, electric kind of shit. But there was a lot of shit that he was doing that is still, there's no name for it as a genre. It's just, and then they came up with like brain dance or IDM, but that's so, it's still so wide. Like,
who knows what if it, I mean, he just created his own universe, isn't it?
Yeah, and he, well, I would say like he got lucky, he didn't get lucky. He's just like a genius producer, but obviously a lot of people did latch onto his music and did rate his music. Yeah. But he's one of very few people that I can think of off the top of my head right now, and there might be a lot of people, if anyone sees it, like, oh, you're full of shit. There's this and this and this person. Well, the one that I can think of right now, off the top of my head, is FX Twin. He was like in a league of his own. Yeah. And if I hear what he's doing now, he's not that much in a league of his own anymore. He's I think
Siren is still a strong album. I mean, there is stuff coming. Like I have to go with camera though.
Yeah, but like. Dude's a fucking genius.
He's absolutely a G, and a Square Pusher I would also add to that list.
Oh no, and I wouldn't call Square Pusher.
I mean, for me, I saw Tom Jenkinson.
Square Pusher was still.
What genre are you going to say? I'm curious. Sorry, finish your sentence because I'm curious to hear what genre you're going to say.
You can hear his roots are like in stuff that with sample breakbeats and shit.
But he's a jazz musician though. See, that's what everyone always I feel like gets wrong with Tom, because not that I know him personally. Tom Jenkinson, I love you. I'm a big fan. But
I am too.
And again, we're not. There's no disagreement here. But I've loved him from when I saw him at George Fourth Pub in Brixton Hill. I mean, about 20-something years ago, and I paid a £5 to see him, and then like sort of 20-something years later, I paid like 60 quid to see him at the Barbican. Do you know what I mean? And like Feed Me Weird Things is one of the greatest electronic albums ever made.
Yeah, but you already say he's a jazz musician, so like his,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so his music is like a mixture of jazz and jungle.
Yeah.
But like FX Twin's music is a mixture of nothing and nothing.
Well, some would argue it's mostly electro. It's electro. A lot of it is some drum and bass, but a lot of it, like Cyro, was mostly all electro tunes.
What? No.
They were weird ones, but I mean, if you think of the pace of them.
No, early FX Twin.
Not early FX Twin. I'm Cyro, the last album.
I'm talking about early FX Twin.
Oh, right.
There's like
no. Early FX Twin.
Soundscape.
No. We agree. The select ambient works. Like all that stuff was very weird, diverse. Obviously worked with RNS. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, but what I'm saying is that. Now, like Cyro, when you listen to the last album,
I didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was okay, but most of it was like
it's okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It sounds like a commercial.
I'm not trying to bash Everton at all, because he's a fucking genius.
Yeah, he's still a fucking genius.
I still, to this day, rate pretty much everything he's ever done.
Yeah, exactly. He's still, even his
even though Everton and Burial have become memes nowadays, they're like...
Ferro was a bad man, though.
Yeah,
Ferro was a G.
Genius as well.
He's a fucking G. But you know how he used to make his tunes, though? That's the thing, what's fucking mental about it. He used to make his tunes in fucking way
right? Yeah.
Like literally chop the break and loop it within the thing and then layer over.
Yeah. That's why a lot of the shit is like very hard to mix.
It's impossible to mix.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's beyond. That's why I love Profane. Profane's an artist on my label. He has that sort of same sensibility like Burial and others, where there's not really a set time signature. He just makes music that just flows with it around the sample. And it doesn't really have any set time signature. You can't mix most of Profane stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that up until the 1970s, the whole history of mankind, everyone was making their music like that.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Without a sequencer.
Without a sequencer, that's what I mean. And that's what Profane's about.
And now we're like,
so what would you want?
He's a genius because he doesn't use.
Yeah, okay, no, all right. I hear this like. But then do you use
Obviously.
Yeah. So why don't you do sequenceless then? Make sequenceless jungle.
Because you want to be able to mix it. I started DJing way before I started producing.
Yeah.
I want my tunes to be mixed. Oh no. I'm actually lying because I have done tunes without. I did them in Ableton, but I didn't sequence them. I just pressed record and started playing.
Yeah.
No, like you would do with like a four-track tape recorder.
Yeah.
I have tunes that they're unmixable.
Yeah.
I would just like play chords and like use them as a rhythm, or even like play drums, just tap them, and then go back to the beginning and in a different, what do you call it, like a stamp track.
Yeah, stamp track. Yeah.
Yeah. Do another layer and like a 4-track tape. But one of the guys I just mentioned earlier, Greg and Walton, my mate in Canada from Hamilton, he actually did that years ago. I guess he recorded that tune in like 2008-ish. And he comes from a background of playing in bands. Like he's a really good like bass guitar player, like insanely good.
Yeah.
But he rarely ever does that because I don't know why. But, and then I think a family member of his, or a friend of his, gave him a drum computer, and he didn't. He came from the background of like 4-track bass, 4-track tape recorder, record the guitars and record the drums and like layer it.
Yeah.
He didn't realize when he got that drum computer that there was such a thing as a sequencer in there.
Yeah.
So he just got his 4-track tape recorder and was just tapping the drums. He was using it as a drum pad instead of a drum computer.
Yeah, got it.
And then layered the synths over it, so you can't mix that tune either.
No.
You know?
But I like tunes you can't mix. Which probably explains why I love profane stuff so much.
Well, you like tunes that you can't mix.
Absolutely, I like stopping people dancing. So it's stupid. It's like a stupid theory I have. It's like if people aren't dancing but they're still on the dance floor, they're listening to the tune at least.
That's what you want.
That's what I want. And so sometimes with profane stuff that always happens. Like
why do you choose to be a dance music DJ then?
Well, I am a dance music DJ, but it's just part of. It's like saying.
Is this you being a rebel?
I don't know. Maybe it's part of my maverick spirit.
But do you want?
But it's not.
Do you want people to
set.
stop dancing so that they're listening, or do you want to clear a dance floor?
No, I want people to stop dancing so they listen.
So they're listening.
So what's happened with profane is that you never used to clear dance floors, but everyone stopped dancing. It's only profane that does it.
Maybe you should start doing seated gigs then, like they did.
Well, this is the thing.
Like they did in COVID.
You could do if it was a profane album played things, you'd definitely have that seated because no reason. I mean, because you can't dance and stuff, but. It's incredible to listen.
Oh, back to African again, like when the Philharmonic Orchestra, like shit, like that was all seated.
Yeah, could do it. Actually, you know what? That's probably not a bad idea. You should do it. Yeah. Well, thanks for that. So 6 labels. You're making music.
I didn't mention the 6th.
Oh, you didn't mention the 6th label. We only talked about 5.
It's not the record's not out yet. I just okayed the test press last week.
Right.
So it's going to be Dove Tune Up.
Right.
On a different moniker.
Right. So what's that going to be?
Jungle as well.
Oh right, another jungle level as well. Right, okay. So you don't do? Do you like techno like you know sort of like Berlin techno sort of that sort of sound or anything
like minimal and like 130, 120 techno?
Yeah, 130. Yeah.
No,
right.
not at all. No.
Yeah.
Never did. Never disliked it. Never well, actual minimal I do dislike and like I really don't like it and the one thing I mostly don't like about it probably is the pretentiousness of the scene.
That's the problem with it.
It's like, but that's like a thing with techno with CH, or not techno with K. In general, to me at least, and maybe I should shut the fuck up because I never.
No,
because I never go to those nights.
I think there's different levels, but yeah, I think there's like the Amelie Lenz thing, which is sort of like it's called techno, but to me that just sounds like trance. Like it's quite.
Yeah, but there's a big portion of the techno scene that is super fucking pretentious.
Absolutely, yeah. But like, you know what? Someone said to me,
I don't like that because to me that pretentiousness is like the least inclusive thing that you can get, and which is why I also don't understand why so many people want to go to Berghain because. I mean, probably the reason for that. No, fuck no. Okay. I don't want to go either.
Okay.
It's like all you hear is like people getting turned away, and it's like, why the fuck would you even want to go in there if they don't want you?
I didn't get turned away.
And I I get it, because that the roots of it, they wanted for to a certain extent to be like a safe space for people.
Absolutely, mate.
As well.
Yeah. Well, that's why.
But it has turned into this mega pretentious.
No, I know, but I'm saying with studio. No, but that's what I'm saying. It's no, I'm not. Believe me, I'm not agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. But what I'm saying is, I understand the reasoning why these things happen. I don't know if it is pretension, and that's only one techno club. But I mean,
true. No, maybe Berghain is a bad example, because it does.
You got Robert Johnson, you got other places, you know.
I mean, like the scene in general, and the way people go about that music is, to me, that's just too pretentious. But even if it weren't, I'm just not attracted to that kind of music. And back in the '90s, a lot of techno, like the underground resistance kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And even like a lot of the German techno was coming out before, like minimal was really a thing, and even early minimal, like Richard Horton, early plastic. I loved that. I had Plastic Man records. I had Jeff Mills records on X's, which is there's records on X's that I had, like one with I think it was the dark blue with black artwork. It's basically speedcore. It's so hard, and it's like more than 200 BPM. Like,
really, jagger.
A lot of underground resistance stuff. I love that, but back then, as was the case with pretty much all kinds of, at least like electronic dance music in the 90s, it was so creative. And, it wasn't so much yet like, oh, you have to abide by these rules, else it's not that genre anymore. And it wasn't so much about, like, the focus was way less on getting a perfect mix down versus being creative and getting fresh ideas in there. And that's kind of why I dipped out of drum and bass as well, because to me, pretty much everything after the turn of the century, but you can just hear with most of the drum and bass that came out, I think that there was more emphasis on getting the mix down as perfect as possible, and there was very little interest in progressing creatively.
I couldn't agree more. When you listen to stuff on my label, you'll understand why, because it's never been about that. It's always been about the rawness.
Yeah, and I feel like the what do you call it, like the crossing point where things were pretty much perfect on that crossroads between being extremely creative with it, but also being really the mix down's getting better and better, and shit just sounding was 1997. Right. Basically, like a lot of the Photech shit that came out back then, Platinum Breaks 4 and 2, the prototype years, all that stuff. It still sounds futuristic. Absolutely. And that is in a large part due to them paying a lot of attention to the mix down.
Absolutely.
So I don't like when people purposely do shoddy mix downs to make it sound old.
I mean, I think there's a happy medium, isn't there?
Yeah. Because like Dead Man's Chest like purposely crushed his tunes up as well, but they still sound really fucking good, in my opinion at least.
But there's healthy
on a big rig, they still sound really good.
Yeah, I mean, there's healthy distortion, isn't there? It's like, I think that's probably the only way of describing it, because you know you could add that level of distortion across that adds character to a bass line, to a break or whatever. And you know, I've had a lot of producers talk to me about that. It's always been a joy to learn, and it's something I've actually got a little bit more aware about in my own productions, you know what I mean? Just sort of like adding a bit of crust to them. But then some tunes I want them to, so like someone like Blame, for someone, for example, was someone
like Blame.
Yeah, Blame. You know,
good looking Blame.
Yeah. He was always obsessed with quality. But the thing was, he was a fucking genius producer as well, and he had amazing creative ideas.
Same photo.
Absolutely. But what I loved about Blame was that his mixdowns were always just absolutely tip to the top. Absolutely. I'll tell you who actually does incredible music in terms of mixdown are Response and Pliskin. Response and Pliskin, when I listen to their stuff has a quality to it. Even though it's still raw, it still breaks, all that stuff, the quality level that they seem to get out. Their set at Rupture was absolutely, was something, more people should be talking about that. It was a very, very unique moment in Rupture's history, because I hadn't really heard a set that sort of transcendental.
When was this?
It was last year. They played last summer, but I haven't heard a set of Rupture that transcendental. Like, it was just beautiful. I was literally in a trance with their music. Brilliant, absolutely genius.
Yeah, but their tunes are like, they got that same hazy, weird. Sorry to name it that, but like druggy trippy quality to it.
Yeah.
Hypnotic. Their tunes are hypnotic, man. Because there's people like, oh, they're unnecessarily long, their tunes.
No, I love that. I love it.
No. They're not
Don't
unnecessarily
change.
long.
Don't change. Don't
They're
change.
not unnecessarily long.
They're necessarily long.
Yeah, because they like. That's the kind of music that should be called trance. Not the music that we call trance, because like a lot of trance that we call trance is like very cheap, in your face, almost like a predecessor to EDM. It's like, and that doesn't get me in a trance at all. Maybe Goa and Psytrance do, because that's like those kinds of they're quite hypnotic. I don't like it either.
See how you feel about minimal techno? I feel that way about trance.
Me too. So that was actually what I was going to say. When you like asked me like techno, and I was talking about the 90s, like I never disliked techno.
Yeah.
I was just never really into it.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
I always passionately disliked trance. I fucking hate trance. Like, from that, and there is, as with everything, is same with like country music. I really don't like country music, but there's a couple of country and Americana tunes that I think are absolutely gorgeous. Well, and there's a couple of trance tunes that I think are absolutely brilliant.
I think there's always anomalies in there. I mean, you know, I love.
But as a whole, as a genre, I find trance disgusting.
What would be?
I'm sorry, but
so is that like your least favourite genre you can think of? Like if like your genre of hell is trance, would it be? Is there a music you can think of that if you're stuck in a room, any music, doesn't have to be dance music, any music you're stuck in a room with?
Dixieland.
Yeah. Oh shit! Fucking hell! Why'd you go there? Yeah.
Because you asked me to go.
No, I know, but I didn't even think you'd go that deep. Yeah.
Dixieland is not deep, mate.
No. What I'm saying is like it was a curveball. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, no.
Probably a lot of music that is labelled EDM now.
Right.
Especially like the EDM pop stuff. I
hate it. But I think if I was stuck in a lift of it, it would I'd probably be alright. But
that's what I mean. I don't passionately hate it, but I can't listen to it for too long.
No.
I would Neurofunk.
Depends who though. There's some good guys out there. No?
Not to me.
You know what I don't understand about Neurofunk? Where's the funk? Like I don't.
That's what I never understood either.
Because I'm literally somebody in the studio go, yeah, funk it is this. I'm like, okay. I'm guessing funk has been branded. I guess. I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
Culturally appropriated.
I don't know. I never said that. I'm just saying I feel like it's
I am.
But it's like jungle. No, but it's like the term jungle. So like to some people, you know, what I would have described as jump up, some people call jungle. And that's a generational thing.
That's a joke I've been making recently. If you go to a night that is billed as jungle and you see like a lot of people wearing the Junglist Movement t-shirt, you can bet your fucking bollocks to the bar and that answers this. As Bricktop said, like that you're not at a jungle night, you're at a jump up night. Because if you go to an actual jungle night, you barely see anyone with those t-shirts. But if you go to like a jump up event, like there's like people wearing those shirts. It's so funny. It's almost like a joke, isn't it?
I mean, I
you know the shirt I mean, right?
Yeah,
like
Leke, yeah. Shout out Leke. I hope you're well, mate.
Who?
Leke Aerosol is Junglist Movement.
Oh, is it?
That's who does his t-shirts. Yeah. But shout out to you, mate. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know they'd become sort of synonymous with jump up, but I'm sure.
I'm sorry if I offended.
No, need to give it an opinion. I think at the end of the day, Leke don't care because, like I said, he's a businessman at the end of the day, and if they're buying the t-shirts, they're buying the t-shirts. So
and I'm not even saying I dislike jump up. That's not what. I didn't mention jump up.
It's
just like every time I've been in an event where I saw a lot of punters wearing that.
It
was not a jungle night. They were playing jump up all the fucking time. Which is like I find that really funny. But
well, I think that's more because I think that's what I'm saying. I think the term. So it's not so much about the t-shirt. I think it's more about the term because it's like the term junglist now means something else to a kid that's 18 or 19.
And fair fuck to them.
You know what I mean?
If there's a lot of people that like chopstick dubplate.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
If you'd asked me, I would call that ragga drum and bass.
Absolutely,
or regular drum and bass, drum and bass. You know? I wouldn't necessarily call that jungle, even though they do use breakbeats for the most part, but it's not like choppy 160 over the top, like weird aim and shit. But
that's the thing, because
if they want to call that jungle, like cool, whatever. Like,
see, I still.
It's not jungle is not like a trademark name or anything.
No, but I still agree a little bit. Someone said to me, I don't think you'll mind me name checking him on this because I think it's a very clever quote. Well, it's not a very clever quote, but it just always made sense to me. But DJ Kane said to me once that to him it's just all jungle. Like he goes like it just he goes, even the most cheesy jump up or the most you know commercial liquid tune or whatever, in his mind. I remember. But in his mind, it's all jungle. That's what he says.
A couple of years ago, you said DJ Kane, but Marvelous Kane said something similar as well on Facebook, and there was a little bit of a spat that was like gone in a day. But he posted a tune that was, to my ears, not jungle. It was more like, I don't know, it was like jump up, but I don't think it even had like a breakbeat in it. It sounded very two-steppy, jump-uppy, and he said this jungle tune, and then some very young kid that had just like tuned into jungle. Basically, he went at Marvelous Kane and was like, "That's not jungle," and blah blah blah. And Marvelous Kane is like a legend back in the day, you know. And he said, well, I think he said like a similar thing. It's like to me it is.
It's still like, jungle.
It's like who's anyone else to say it isn't? Yeah. But then again, if you ask me for my definition of it, how I would separate jungle versus drum and bass, that's what I said at the beginning of our chat. That's how I feel about it. So
yeah, because I mean, it was interesting with the Black Jungle Nights when that started. There was that whole conversation about jungle versus drum and bass. You know, there was this idea that drum and bass was sort of more white and newer school and more or less simplified, and then jungle was old school, more black quote unquote sounding, blah 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 blah. And then I didn't really know what to say. And then someone informed me that the term drum and bass is actually older than jungle, because that was something that was used in dub. Like at the end of a dub tune, drum and bass was what it was called. At the end, that's where the term comes from.
Yeah, but that's not in that sense related to this kind of up tempo.
No, but what I'm saying is, but what no, because, not at all. But what I'm saying,
but in that sense.
Sorry, go on. No, because I was just going to finish. So what I'm saying is, I think I understand something you're going to come with, but all I was going to say was, because of that, it sort of made me kind of feel like a little bit like, with other things about the sampling or whatever. I'm kind of like, I don't know anymore. I don't know if it, because I can think of drum and bass.
There is no one definition of it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I kind of feel
impossible.
like.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
But when you say that drum and bass and all the term, because it came out of dub, which is
it got reused again in a different way. I get that. Later than jungle. I get that.
But in that sense, jungle is even a lot older than that, because like during Prohibition years, the jazz clubs, white people would, in a very pejorative way, call that jungle music.
Wow! So there you go. Maybe then.
So, at least as far as I know.
Well, there you go. So this is what I mean. You learn something new every day. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like.
They would say shit. I think they would say shit like Jungle Bunny music.
Jungle Bunny music, yeah. And that's what
they would refer to it.
Yeah, black people as well. Yeah, people would refer to it as Jungle Bunny.
That was like 1920s.
20s?
Prohibition in America.
Okay.
So the Roaring 20s, innit?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's like.
Well, they had like all the illegal jazz clubs where they could sneakily.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah. But it's just at the end, well then that even further then proves my point, because ultimately, who the fuck cares? Like, really? Like, as long as what you're doing, you're happy with, as long as what you're doing, you create, with as much integrity and your own personality as possible, then
who cares? The only thing is that
distribution, record companies care.
And if you go digging in a record shop, and they have like a jungle section with 100 records in there, but they have a drum and bass section with 1,000 records in there. At least you don't have to go through 1,000 Eurofunk records.
But that's the problem, because all but a smart
record
record shop would just have a Eurofunk section. Because
yeah, a smart one, or at least a record shop.
Or a Eurofunky
selling. Yeah. I guess, yeah. Yeah, no, but there is no one definition, and even at the time in like 95, 6, 7, there was like so much of a grey area between what would be labelled what, and like who the fuck cares at the end of the day? As long
this is
why I say there are so many genres that as a whole I absolutely despise, but there's still tunes that I really rate.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that it's bad music. It's just like, I really, really don't like it.
You don't.
I'm not saying trance is bad music.
Yeah.
but I really don't like it.
That really
it just ticks me. It just, and
look, shout out all the trance fans, whatever, man.
Yeah,
it's all good
whatever.
to you.
Yeah,
but like, it's just annoying. I do think that there were some genres, just a little bit, maybe like you experienced what you said with the hardcore days back here. Like, you know, it's not so much the music form, it's the people, you know, and like you said with techno, but it's the people that follow it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it sort of, sometimes the music becomes, I had that a little bit with dubstep. Like, I loved dubstep, but I just got irritated by people that like dubstep. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just like, it's making me...
This doesn't remind me, though, of a meme I saw like 5 years ago, where there was probably, I don't know what the first picture was, but it looked very much like, not like a good time. There was one bloke spinning 2 dub plates, and there was 4 or 5 other blokes standing around him, train spotting.
Yeah.
Like, not dancing, and then the other picture was all these American EDM kids and like having fun.
Yeah.
And it's like dubstep used to be this and it became this and it was like dissing the EDM kids, and I was like, I know which crowd I would prefer to play to. It's like, give me that fucking EDM crowd.
Give me the EDM
like
crowd,
actually
man.
cheering
I'll take
and
that.
shouting.
I'll take the EDM crowd any day.
Yeah, man. It's like, what are you trying to prove?
Nothing, man.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. Well, look, I think on that note, what you're trying to prove, I think it's a great way to end this, man.
All right.
Unless there was something else you had to get off your chest.
Well, not really. What's the time? How long have we been chatting?
It's been about just over 2 hours, I think.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just come up to 2 hours.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
Well, look,
that was a good first chat, man.
Thank you very much. And by the way, this is the first time we've actually had the first conversation we've actually had. So we weren't talking
except
about
for what was it like?
in
Rotterdam.
the Rotterdam Bird.
We also said like I don't think we've ever chatted.
No.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, we haven't, and I just disappeared.
Did
back
disappear?
into the crowd
You bought me a
again.
drink though. You bought me a drink.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Did I buy it or did I get it from backstage and give it to you?
I don't know, but you gave me a drink, so I'm accepting it, and I thank you for that.
Oh right.
I'm pretty sure you know because you went to the bar straight afterwards and you were buying it. I think you bought a round. It was like,
oh yeah, I got some tokens. Yeah,
you got some things. So like, you know what I mean. So you sorted me out. But anyway.
I hope I've not offended too many people.
No.
with my jump up and my trans hatred and.
It's fine. It wouldn't be the first time, mate. And that's what this cast is about. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, thank you so much for coming, man.
Cheers,
I really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next one.
Peace.
Peace.